Okay, I want to show you like very important application using a for loop. Okay, suppose we want to write a program which uh, sums up all the integers up to, let's say, n. Let's say up to 5, for example. So let's say you want to write a program which will calculate like sum of all the integers up to 5. So it means sum is like 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, right? So let's say that n value is a 5. In this case, the program will just add all the integers up to, let's say, 5. So to write this program, we know that at least we need two variables. One variable called sum, right? So we need a one variable called sum, and it looks like we need another variable called, let's say, some number which represent this number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So for that, I'll just call a count. It's a count. Right? Let's see. Okay. And then so we know that it's ranged from 1 to 5. So it looks like we have to use the function called range, right? That's at your lower bound, so which is 1. And then 5 is your upper bound, so it should be 6, not 5, right? So you can say let's say 4 count in range 1 through 6, and then you have to put a colon, and then sum is equal to sum plus count. And then obviously the sum, initially your sum value is a 0 initially, so I'll say sum is equal to 0. So let's see. So I need to draw the some matrix. I'll say count and then the sum. Okay. So let's just follow this for loop. So initially, right? Initially the sum is a 0, and then the count is what? So the range through 1 through 6 means really like 0, 1. Sorry, means like what? 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5, right? So initially, the count is, at this point, the count is 1, right? So count is 1. And then the sum, so like this is like iteration number 1. This is like iteration number 1. In the first pass, the first iteration, the sum was a 0. So 0 plus count, which is 1, becomes 1, right? So sum is now becomes 1 in the first iteration. So I'm done with this statement, and then I'm going back to the for loop header. So if I just write it that like sum is means first iterations count is 1 and then sum was 0, so basically 1 0 plus 1, okay, in the first iteration. And then now my count becomes 2, right? 2. In the second iterations, this is second iteration, my count is 2. And then the sum, the previous sum value is what? Is a 1, right? Which is this, which is 1, right? But my count at this iterations, my count is 2, right? 2. So I'm adding 2. So 2 plus 1, the previous value is 1, right? So my sum becomes 3. So in the second iterations, I'm done with this. So this is my old sum, and now this becomes my new sum. Pretty much you can also draw like this one. And in the third iteration, so go back to the for loop. In the third iterations, my count is now 3. So at this point, it previously was what, 1 and then 2, now it's a 3. My count value is a 3 in the third iteration. And then the count is a 3, right? And my old sum, I mean the sum is now a 3, which is basically this guy. So the 3 plus, what is it? 1 plus 2 is 3, so it's a 6. Sum is 6 now. So I'm done with this calculations, pretty much. And then in the fourth iterations, my value, the count value becomes 4 in the fourth iteration, right? And then my sum is what? My sum is, so this is like my fourth iterations, count is 4. So everything, like everything plus 4. So this is basically my sum, my old sum, so which is a 6. So 6 plus 4 is 10. So up to this point, my sum value is what? Is 10. In the fifth iterations, so going back to the loop header, I'm going to execute the 5, and now the count is 5, and then let's say sum is this guy, the whole thing, which is 10, plus count is 5, right? Count is a 5, so pretty much whole thing. The previous, this value was a 10, right? So 10 plus 5 is 15. Okay, so you can find the 15. Let's just write this program. So file, new, sum is equal to 0 for count in range 1 through 6, and then you have put a colon, and then sum is equal to what? Sum plus count. Okay, right? And then I have to get out of the loop, so I don't need have no longer need to have a indentation. So this indentation means the statement belongs to for loop, right? But at this point, after I'm done with this, I want to print the sum, which does not belong to this for statement. So I'll say print result is, let's say, sum. Okay, So let's see, let's run this. If I have a 15, then I have a correct, my code is correct. So first file, save as, and then Python C. So I'm going to, I'll just call it sum. Save, and then run. Okay, result is 15. Suppose that I want to change this program, so this program will say can do, like, let's say, add all the integers up to, let's say, number n. Then I can change this n, so this n is a variable, so this time I'll say n is equal to 10. That means this program will add all the integers up to 10. Sorry, so it should be 11, up to 10, right? So if I add all the integers up to 10 from 1, starting from 1, so 1 to 10, I think the correct value is 55. So let's just run to see if my program displays 55. Let's save this and run. Yes, 55. So this program will add all the integers up to 10. Let me stop recording.